Hey everybody, it's Pastor Daniel. We are here on day 16 of our 40 Days of Purpose, and our today's special guest is Angela. Hi, Angela.
Hey,
How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm all right. I mean, you're only in Brooklyn. It's not that far away, but it feels like we're worlds away, right? With all the quarantine.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, we haven't seen each other. We see each other every Sunday at church, and now we don't get to see each other hardly at all. But one day we
One
will
day.
be back together. I look forward to that day. Today's reading on day 16 is talking about what matters most. That's the title. And what
Mhm.
matters most is love. It talked about the 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the chapter on love. It talked about how love is the best use of our life. It's the best thing we could be doing. It talks about a life without love is actually not worth living. That's why we need love in life. Talked about love lasting forever. Lots of great stuff. So I hope people are really enjoying today's reading. But as you read through it, what stood out to you today?
Well, two things. The first one is that no matter what I say, no matter what I do, that without love, we're bankrupt. And also that time is love, and the time to love is now. There's no waiting. Those two things really stood out to me.
Yeah, they stood out to me too. One of the things that hit me hard was the quote that said, "God wants you to be in regular, close fellowship with other believers, so you can develop the skill of loving." That it was a skill, not something we just knew how to do. And
Right,
it said, "Love cannot be learned in isolation by
right,
yourself. You have to be
right.
around people." Then it said, "Irritating, imperfect, frustrating people." And I was like, "That's me. That's me." And so, but we're kind of forced to be around people right now, in at least in family wise, in our homes, and we're getting a good sense of what it skill level it takes to continually love people. So, what are some ways you think this is impacting your life right now?
Well, probably the biggest way is just to slow down. I know that it's easy for me to say, after this, I don't know when quarantine is over, but when it's over, I'm gonna be ready to do
Mm,
these millions of things, and I'm just really striving to get things done. But this is causing me to realize that the most important thing to do is to love my family now, and to slow down, and to realize that this time really does matter, and the most important thing out of this is loving on them.
yeah, absolutely. In fact, last week we learned our first priority, our first purpose is to love God, to worship Him. And
Hmm.
today, or this week, we're learning our second purpose is to love people as ourselves. So it's really important. Our second purpose. It just talked about our schedules, like you just said, can become overloaded, and we start to skim on our relationships, kind of cut them short with busyness. And so
Yes.
that's really been good for me to practice too. I've been forced to slow down, and it's
Yeah.
been good. Yeah. What are some closing thoughts you have for us today?
Closing thoughts. In the book, it mentions that at the end of life, people are not asking for their degrees to be brought to them or their accomplishments to be said, but just their relationships and their love. So I think that that's a great takeaway for all of us.
Yeah, my wife and I were talking about that this after the sermon this past Sunday, and what came to our mind was Sean, who was part of our church a few years back, and when he passed away, I was able to be there as he passed away, and it was just a precious moment to be able to go through that with him, and to be there with his wife Blake and her family, and that's what you want. None of that stuff matters. What
Right.
matters is who loves you and who do you love. And it talked about that's going to be something we're going to be evaluated on one day. God's
Yep.
not going to say, "Hey, how's your bank account? Hey, how's your 401k? How's your house?" He's going to say, "What'd you do with the love I gave you? How did you
Yeah.
love others?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great word. And we all need it right now because the world has always needed love. And in quarantine, we need it. And post quarantine, we're still going to need it, you
Yes.
know?
Yep.
So this is a good practice time, good training for post quarantine.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for making time today to meet with me over Zoom and to
Anytime.
talk about what matters most. And all right, I think we've done all we can do today. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna have to cut it short. For everybody else, we will see you guys tomorrow for day 17. Goodbye.
Yeah.